we are going to go into our merchant interview with Busy Baby. We're bringing back on Nick from Recart. Hello. And we're bringing in Beth from Busy Baby. Hello, Beth.
Hello.
All right. Well, I don't need to be here, and my head is covered by this intro of you guys. So I need to get out of here so that you guys can have a great conversation. I'm really looking forward to this.
Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it. Hey, Beth. How's it going?
Hey, Nick. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you again. Hey, everybody, by the way, watching. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Beth, if you don't mind. Off the top, I think a question that everybody's very curious. What is Busy Baby Mat as the product itself?
Yeah, so the product's very simple. It's a silicone placemat that suctions to a surface like a table or a high chair, and then it has tethers that you can use to hook up baby's toys so they don't constantly drop and throw them on the ground.
Brilliant. And what was the inception of this idea? So how did this all get started?
It all started with a lunch with some girlfriends shortly after I had my first baby. When I went back to work, a couple of my stay-at-home mom friends took me out to lunch, and they brought their babies with them. And the entire lunch was spent with these girls grabbing everything on the table or throwing the toys mom would give them onto the floor. And one of the moms was a big germaphobe, so everything had to get wiped down every single time. And it was just a huge distraction. And I thought, I need to just go online. And I actually grabbed my phone and I went on Amazon and I was like, I need to find something to keep my kid busy. So when he's old enough to join us at the table at the restaurants, he won't be that distraction. So long story short, I couldn't find anything that would do the job. So I created it.
So smart, honestly. I absolutely love that backstory. I was almost like semi-accidental, if you will, or I think it's awesome, truly. And kind of piggybacking off of that, once you started getting, the gears turning and realizing like, hey, this is something that I want to keep building. I want to turn this into a business. Obviously not everything can be peaches and cream to start. There's definitely some learning curves and some hills that we personally have to figure out ourselves, and industries we've never been in if this is your first time. So what were some mistakes you made early on, and maybe some of the people watching can learn from this? There's a lot of e-commerce stores watching this right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm one of those really annoying people that doesn't believe in mistakes. Like every mistake you would call something that's happened has really been there for me to learn from. But I really have to go back further to, I grew up the daughter of an entrepreneur. My dad has his own business as a welder. And I learned early on that you really have to have passion for what you're doing if you're an entrepreneur, because there are so many ups and downs. It's a roller coaster all the time. Oops. Speaking of that, my dad's calling me right now. Sorry. So you have to have passion for what you're doing. Otherwise, when you hit those low times where you make some big mistakes or it's just a struggle, you won't get through that unless you have passion for what you're doing. So I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never knew what I wanted to do. I didn't have enough passion about anything in particular until I had kids. And my passion really became, I don't want to keep doing this 9-to-5 corporate grind anymore. I want to actually find a business to start right now. And so when I had this idea, I didn't know for sure this was the thing, but I wanted it to be the thing that I did. And so I started cutting and gluing things together to make a prototype. And I also created an LLC, within the first week of having the idea. I paid the $400 and I filed an LLC because I thought that's going to at least hold me accountable that I have this Busy Baby LLC. It's a real thing. Even though my product is still an idea in my head, I thought that was going to help me drive forward and not give up on this kind of dream that I had. And it really did. And so I made lots of prototypes, and then I got to a point where I was stuck and I didn't know what to do next. And so I think that's the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is you don't know what you don't know. And you just do the next best thing in front of you. And as long as you keep doing that, you keep moving forward. So I don't know that there was necessarily a ton of mistakes. I think I avoided a ton of mistakes because I asked a lot of people for mentorship. I asked anybody who would talk to me, what was your journey? What was your biggest lessons learned? Stuff like that, so that I could really avoid a lot of the pitfalls.
I love that. And I think that's a great segue into our next kind of topic. I was going to ask you what do you love most about, running your own company? But you kind of explained a little bit of that already. And by the way, as having both my parents being serial entrepreneurs, I totally get it. So I definitely admire you for that. So given, the communities that you kind of like leveraged early on for advice, I know, you are a mom and you're a woman in entrepreneurship. So that's a pretty powerful community that you kind of have some access to. And I know personally you've had some access to that community. So was that one of the communities you leveraged to get going at least? And was that peer-to-peer interaction between, I guess, like other momtrepreneurs, like really useful up front? Yeah.
It's priceless. It's still priceless to this day. So kind of the way I'm part of a group of other mom inventors. There's maybe 20 of us that we all invented something for babies that was just solving a problem we had ourselves. And we've all are at varying, I guess, levels of business. Some people are still just starting out. Some people have been in business and are doing millions and millions of dollars of sales every year. And what's great is that because we're all in the same industry, we can share resources. We can post in our Facebook group, hey, I'm really looking for someone who can help me with my email marketing. Does anybody have a reference? And we can all say, this is who I work with. He's great with baby brands or whatever. Having those peers, those resources is seriously priceless. I always say, the saying is it takes a village to raise a baby, or it takes a tribe to raise a child. It takes a tribe to start a business. It really does. And when the bigger your tribe, the easier it is, the less mistakes you'll make because you'll have more contacts and more resources to help you out.
Yeah, definitely. You never know. The butterfly effect's a very real thing, right?
Yes,
one email could lead to an intro to a community, to maybe like a cheaper shipping rate or cheaper product. I don't know. There's a million things, right, that could happen. They can become your lifelong friends too. So
and they have.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go. That's awesome. Sounds like it's very, very important to get started in communities as you get going. Then, so touching a little bit more on the mom female entrepreneurship side of things. What is the most challenging part of running a business as a full-time mom? And your kids, by the way, you're somewhat younger. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? So a little. Even more challenging, I should say, and having a full-time business to run. So do you mind touching a little bit more on that?
I think just being a mom or being a parent is hard. Like whatever parent's in charge of the majority of the housework or the kid work, that alone is a job that's hard. And then when you throw in trying to run a business and trying to balance that life, it is hard. I found that the best way to deal with it is time blocking. Lately, I've actually been one thing that I struggled with the first 3 years of my business was my self-care. So before I had kids and before I started this business, I was an avid CrossFitter. I would go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week and I was in great shape and super healthy. Then I had a baby and that became my priority. And then I started a business 3 months later and that became my next priority. Wow. And so my own taking care of myself went down in priority. And, then I had a second baby and now there's even more to worry about. But what I needed to learn and remember is that taking care of my own mental and physical health is important to be able to do the other things. And so now I've started getting up, going to the gym before the kids get up. And then I can come home, get the kids ready, spend a good morning with them, get breakfast, get them off to daycare. Daycare is a critical part of my life. I would not be able to work without someone else helping me with the childcare. And then I work really, really hard while the kids are at daycare. So when I pick them up, we can enjoy the evening together. And then sometimes when I put the kids to bed, then I go immediately to bed. Sometimes if I have work that I need to do, I can do that. But I try to time block and have some good boundaries so that when I do have my family duties and the kids around, I can really dedicate myself to them. And when I'm really focused on the business, I can really dedicate myself to that, minus running in to throw in an extra load of laundry and do things during the
week.
work.
I could imagine the time blocking is like effective, 95% of the time, right? You're going to have like this little, the crossover, but it sounds like it's been very effective for you. So that's awesome. So, wow. Congrats on tackling the,
it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really amazing. And then, just more general, seven way not knows from the mom standpoint, but just woman in general. What would you give? Because it's no mystery that woman owned, in e-commerce, it's the vast majority. So for women watching this and wanting to start their own e-commerce business, what is some of the advice that you would want to give them from your perspective?
I think just any woman in general who wants to go into business, I want to say, don't doubt yourself. Like every woman I know is a great multitasker, is super smart, way smarter than we give ourselves credit for. We work way harder than we give ourselves credit for. I think we're the hardest person on ourselves, and we're absolutely capable of doing things. So don't doubt yourself as a person. I often speak to entrepreneurs, and my speech is about how I grew this business into a 7-figure business without having a clue what I was doing. Like I still to this day have things that I have to get through. It's like, how do I deal with this now? Like the problems, I keep thinking I'm going to tackle this one thing. I'm going to learn how to get my website set up properly. And then once I get past that, then it's going to get easier. But then it's like, oh, now I got to do marketing. Marketing is so much harder than I thought, and there's email and text and messenger and in apps and Google. And I mean, there's so much, and it's like, but we're really good at learning things, and we're women and probably men. I can't speak for men because I'm not one, but women especially are way stronger and smarter than we give ourselves credit for. So any woman who's, wanting to start a business or do something, don't doubt yourself. Like you definitely don't doubt yourself. You can do it.
Absolutely love that. And I absolutely agree. Told my sister a similar thing, and she's going for it too. So it's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, definitely, I would love in the future where it's kind of a good mix as opposed to a little bit more slanted right now in the representation. But more and more.
If I could add one more thing to that, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I want women to know, don't be afraid to ask questions. I have only been able to grow my business and become what it is because I ask questions to literally everyone. At first, I felt bad asking questions. I felt like I was taking the valuable time of somebody who was much more important than me by asking someone for a 15 or 20-minute mentoring call. And those people were happy to share their experience with me, and I didn't need to feel bad about asking. And I also had times where I felt bad asking questions because I didn't want to look dumb. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to look weak. And that's not the case. I have found actually the more people and higher level people that I talk to and ask questions actually give me credit for doing that, because it's not easy to do. And I'm asking the right questions. So it is showing that I'm actually on the right track. I kind of know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So be afraid to don't feel like you're a burden, or don't feel like you're imposing on someone's time. If anybody watching wants to talk to me because they have an idea and want to know the next step, reach out. I am happy to I do mentor calls on Friday. So I'm happy to chat with anybody and answer any questions. Always ask the questions.
I love that, Beth. And I think it's a very sweet offer. And I encourage, based off your feedback earlier with the communities, ask your peers, ask questions, get more involved. People favor boldness. So yeah, anyways. So to kind of pivot not so smoothly into more of the specific marketing tool that you use, Recart specifically. Recart is a messenger marketing tool just for everybody watching, and Beth is using Recart currently and has been for quite some time now. So Beth, I'm curious, when did you first discover Recart?
Let's see. I don't remember. I think it was before Shark Tank. For those that, I don't know if anybody watching even knows who I am. I was on Shark Tank this season in March. And I think I got connected with Recart very early in this year and got set up and going. before Shark Tank because I really wanted to capitalize on the eyeballs. And I don't know if it's part of your question or not, Nick, but what I've learned with marketing is, and especially with my product, because you would think, a baby product, I'm marketing to new moms. But what I've actually found is that almost half of my customers are the grandpas and grandma, because they know the pain of this problem. The new mom and dad haven't actually experienced the toddler toss, the dropping and throwing game yet. The aunts, the uncles, the grandpas, the grandmas, they've all experienced that. So what I found in my marketing is there's different demographics at each channel. So, the older crowd is now on Facebook and have Messenger, and I don't reach them through Instagram. I don't reach them through TikTok. So you just have to really diversify where you're marketing so that you can hit the different demographics of people that you're hoping to sell to.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I love this multi-channel approach, and I should say omni-channel, because everything is speaking to each other and back to you, so you can make informed decisions. I totally agree. And round of applause for Shark Tank. I don't know if you saw it. I was doing a little clap, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Seriously, that's an incredible achievement. And I see Derek is that's a nice banner at the bottom.
Thank you for the banner. Yep.
That's seriously incredible. Check out the episode too. I've seen it. It's a great one. So you touched base on this. I was going to ask, like, hey, how exactly were you planning to solve some issues with the Recart? And it's mostly trying to target other demographics. So just to go a little deeper there, how does Messenger fit into your current business strategy right now, beyond just trying to hit other demographics?
Right now, where I'm really finding it the most useful is with my campaigns. So, for example, right now I launched a Memorial weekend sale. So we send out an email. Certain percent of people open the email, the rest don't open it. Then we send out a text message. A percentage of people check their text messages and may or may not open it from there. Messenger, almost everybody opens that and looks at it. So the people I didn't catch the first go round will see it in Messenger. And if they did see it the first go round, but we're like, that's cool, I don't know if I'm going to buy something this weekend or not. But then they get it in Messenger with this quick, easy link that just takes them right to the page. It's just like an easier process for the consumer. Yeah,
100%. And last thing on this topic, what would you say to others that are considering using Recart, this alt channel, if you will?
It's weird for me with marketing how much I don't like. You would think based on how you feel and think about things. Like for me, I don't really read my emails much. If I see in the subject line or I see that it's from a company I've purchased from before, I kind of just delete them. So I don't think email is going to be good. Or somebody else may think, oh, I never check Messenger, so that's probably not going to work. That's just you, though. There's people are way different than you. And so just because something doesn't work for me doesn't mean thousands of other people aren't going to respond really well to it. So I think you have to give everything a try to see how it's going to work. And that's kind of been my strategy this last few months. Is I used to only do Facebook and Instagram ads. That was it. And it worked really well. But now I'm doing, email, text, Messenger, apps, trying everything and actually kind of surprising that I'm reaching different people I didn't expect to reach and getting the response I wasn't expecting, which is nice. So I think you have to try all the things and see what fits with your demographic, with your target customers.
100%. You never know who is on what channel. And maybe here's the other thing. Maybe you're not just going directly after people that are just on this channel. Maybe there's people that use, multiple channels. So maybe they saw you on one channel, and then it wasn't until like the second interaction on an alternate channel that actually led them to, putting their email with you guys, and they got a newsletter, and then that led them to buy their first purchase. I mean, you just never know. So the more ripples you can create, I'm right there with you. That's amazing. So pivoting away from Recart and looking forward, so I'm curious what, and I know you've mentioned a little bit what you've been doing over the past few months with adding new channels, but over the last few months specifically, what would you say kind of like upper echelon strategies, if you will. Are there any major adjustments you've done? Maybe some new product releases? Do you mind explaining a little bit more?
Actually, we're real heavy on product releases. We launched a new product in February. We're launching. We just launched last Monday. The pre-order is open for the mini version of my mat, and then we are signing paperwork today for another company we're acquiring and adding another couple of products to our product line. So this is a year of massive growth for Busy Baby. We're adding more products. We're adding more colors. So we're really going to be leaning heavily on our marketing, because it's hard when you're trying to market and like, what do I talk about? What do I say in my marketing? What do I show? Well, when you have new color releases and new product releases, it's super easy because that's what you do and people respond, especially if you have a good following. So we're really excited to see what the rest of this year does for us.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I was gonna make a bad joke. Busy Baby, busy Beth. It sounds like this year. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Someone wrote an article about me, and the closing line was, "And boy, is she busy, baby."
Yeah. That's hilarious, actually. That's too good. Okay, so looking and only a couple more questions here. And thank you again. This has been awesome. And so looking forward, specifically in the toy industry, or I guess looking forward and a little back, like how has the toy industry changed since 2017, and how do you expect it to look in the next couple years?
I think it's probably been pretty consistent with most industries after 2020 and the pandemic. A huge shift to online purchasing. And a huge shift to focus on things that help, at least in the baby area, that help keep a baby busy while you're trying to educate your other children when you have to teach from home, or do a Zoom call with your baby next to you and keeping them busy. There's more practical solutions, and there's still been a kind of a trend away from devices, away from putting electronics in front of a baby. It's as a mom, I don't want to, but sometimes it's just easier to give them the iPad with a cartoon on it so that you can get something done. But there really is a big trend towards finding ways to interact with and entertain your child without using electronics. That's a big thing I've seen. A lot of toys and games are going to less electronics and more actually physically playing with blocks and magnets and things, tangible things. I think that's going to continue for sure.
Yeah, I love that, because it's crazy to think that, kids being born these days are just being born into this iPhone, iPad world, and then didn't really, I don't know, don't play with blocks as much or go out and bike ride. It's all, So yeah, I think that's awesome. Kind of everything's been so digital, and we're going to, move a little backwards.
But the real shift is to e-commerce though. So, as we're talking about e-commerce business, everybody's shopping online. It's so much easier. Yep. I never ordered my groceries to be delivered before the pandemic. Now the stores are open, masks are removed here in Minnesota. I can go shopping easily, but gosh, it sure is convenient to order them and have them delivered. I'll probably continue that. So there's a lot of online shopping that's going to continue beyond the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think we're just getting started. Honestly, some data, it's only 20% of transactions in the US, I think, are e-commerce. Yeah. Pretty crazy. It's gonna get bigger and bigger. So last but not least, and again, thank you, Beth. This has been awesome. But let's talk about content and marketing strategy. What are some emerging marketing strategies that we should be investing in?
I think it's diversifying your marketing strategies. Last year I had all my eggs in the Facebook, Instagram basket, and it did really well. Until my Facebook account got shut down for some unknown reason. We still don't know. And we had to start over from scratch, and we had to start with a zero budget and no demographics, and all my eggs were in that basket. So that's part of the reason I'm diversifying this year into all the other channels of advertising and marketing, because you can't have all your eggs in one basket. And what I found is that, look at all these new customers I'm finding, because not everybody's on Facebook, Instagram. Facebook bans likely caused by How do you misclassify a baby product as political? Thanks, Facebook. But yes, I think diversifying is the strategy that everyone should take personally, but that's what I'm trying.
Awesome. And then just quickly on the content side of things, does similar approach, you say, diversifying, or is there a specific content strategy?
Content, what I've actually found, because I've done both now, I've done videos I've shot on my cell phone with my own baby, and I've done professionally produced videos. And the most well-received content is my cell phone video, because I think what's happening is as people scroll, they're like, oh, is that my friend's baby? Or whose baby is that? And they don't realize that it's one of my ads for my product. They just see this baby, and then they're like, oh, what is that thing this baby is playing with on their high chair? So I've invested in both. I've done a lot of testing with both. The professionally produced ads and videos do perform okay. But surprisingly, the content from my cell phone has done much better. And organic content. A customer of mine created a TikTok ad, and it's got millions and millions of views. Not an ad, just she posted something on TikTok, and like 30,000 shares. I never even knew about it. Someone saw it and messaged me, and she's like, look at this thing. And it was just a mom that did a quick review on what the busy baby mat is, and
wow.
So user-generated content is huge. I'm actually excited to look into the presentation from before this to see about maybe upping my influencer game a little bit.
Yeah, that's amazing. The way you can just like recognize, right? And I love that point, because I always thought it was, I don't know, maybe because you're just curious, like, what exactly is this person? Do I know them? But it's also like, this is something that you're doing day in and day out. Not everyone is doing high quality videos all the time. I'll send a video, like a Snapchat or something like that. So go to where people recognize your content ads. That's great. Thank you, Beth. It was very insightful, and
thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
Good to see you again.
I love this. Before you go, Beth, I love this. The idea of upping the influencer game. So tying together exactly what you're talking about, just to give you my own experience with this. When I was in-house at a beauty box subscription, we had a large influencer program spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in influencers. One of the influencers we hired was Cardi B. And ironically, she didn't actually drive that much traffic, but we got her cell phone shot video opening the product in a very organic way. The lighting was terrible. It was like there was like a bright background light. It looked dark in the room, as ugly as could be. When we turned that into a Facebook ad, it made us millions of dollars in revenue. So it was very successful. It was the best performing ad, was organic, but also from an influencer. So that's something to think about. Looking for, if you go out there and look for moms who are influencers as well, and perhaps even using that influencer discovery tool that they have to see the ones that have already bought from you. I think that'll do really well for you.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, it's totally, I think as consumers, we're trained, our eyes know as we scroll what's an ad, and we can scroll past an ad without even realizing it, because our eyes are trained to know the format of an ad. But something more user generated it stops you.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the future of advertising right there in a nutshell. We'll cover that in a different event probably. But awesome. Thank you both so much, Nick, for bringing Beth on and interviewing her, and Beth, thank you so much for making an innovative product. I wish I had this 7 years ago with my son, actually.
I wish I had $1 for every time someone told me, where was this when my kids were little?
Well, you're getting close to having $1 for every time, I think. On the next one. Awesome. Thank you both so much. We'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye. Awesome. Cool. A great story. And her Shark Tank experience, which I had watched just a few weeks ago, was a really good one. She stood up for her brand and her valuation, and it was really something to watch.